He's a programming prodigy who 3D printed a hand, built computers from scratch, and streamlined a way to book vaccine appointments across the region, all before he could drive.
It's like helping your community when the system that's already been created isn't working.
At 14, Sawyer Thompson is the creator of DMVvaccine.com. You can see here by scrolling down, CVS DC locations have vaccine appointments available. So if you're eligible, just click and book.
I wanted to ask you, on a scale of 1 to 10, how hard was it for you to make this?
I feel like it was probably a 6 because I built on a lot of the fundamentals that I had.
Fundamentals like knowing how to take data running in the background of vaccine appointment websites and routing them all into one place.
I've gotten heartwarming notes about people who've been able to book vaccine appointments for themselves, family, friends, and that's the whole reason why I created DMV Vaccine.
If no appointments are open, Sawyer has another option. He created this Twitter page, and if you turn on notifications, it alerts your phone when new appointments appear. But as word spreads, he hopes his success is short-lived.
My ultimate goal of this website is to have it shut down, because then that means the vaccine shortage is over.
Until then, it's ingenuity meets immunization, one shot at a time. Mike Valerio, WUSA 9.